Hey guys, welcome to Security and Brews Chat number 8. I'm Nathan. I got my friend across the pond in the UK here on the line, Greg. Greg and I, we met through some, weird LinkedIn connection. He was on a 3-hour traffic jam stuck in Paris. We both were looking at each other's different content and just kind of started like throwing out some ideas, and here we are now in the episode. So Greg, you want to kind of give the audience a little bit of your background of what you do in the IT security space and just kind of like tell the story of the week, as it were?
Sure, yeah. I mean, I've been doing IT security for like 20 years. Kind of a rogue, always done it my own way. And I've always been chasing kind of what works instead of the status quo. But it's more recently, in the last few years, it's really been about leadership. And I've become the most unpopular guy in InfoSec because I have the position that it's the CISO's fault. People, tend to react to that as, well, no, it's not the CISO's fault. And then the two biggest excuses are he didn't have the resources or the users are to blame. And it's like, well, you're the chief information security officer. It's your job to communicate with the board to get resources if you really need them. And then it's like, and the users, well, yeah, sure, the users screw up. But I wrote a post about this today. And it's like, if Bob works in the marketing department of a big company, clicks on a phishing email, he gets his laptop compromised. Now this attacker has regular user, not even admin access on a laptop. Somehow he manages to get admin access. He managed to upload tools to the laptop, scan the company network, find the gateway, hack into that, find another vulnerable router or firewall, go through that, hack another server that had unpatched vulnerabilities, hop to another segment via some open firewalls that had vulnerable services on both sides, compromise all your databases, install malware, all that stuff.
Is it Bob's fault at that point? Yeah.
The laptop was Bob's fault.
Right.
Everything else was what the CISO is responsible for.
Right.
Obviously it didn't. And it's when you see these big breaches like Yahoo, Marriott, it's always some stupid little detail that no one saw, or rather, people saw it. Guys on the ground, you spend half a day talking to guys on the ground. They know everything that's going on.
Well,
CISO never looked at it.
Yeah, well, and let's just dive into this for a sec. I know that I know a very popular thing to do. It's like let's say you're the CISO of Marriott. You're as a CISO of Marriott, you probably got slammed with probably 50 emails the next day from a smattering of vendors saying, "Hey, we could have fixed that problem with our single pane of glass approach," And the reality is
it's bullshit, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't even reporting or tools. Like, if you don't, the issues that we have today, there's nothing that's come out in the market in the last 10 years that addresses what causes 99% of breaches today.
It's
so
just
why are we inventing
little minor
new
patches,
stuff?
right?
We've had solutions for 20 years. I mean, it's not hard to have accurate asset management, to patch your systems, and to do secure coding and that kind of stuff. It just requires visibility,
right,
and leadership and management.
Right.
You have to know, in order to get single pane of glass is a really good example, because that's reporting up to the CISO. But if you don't know where that data came from, and this is what boggles my mind. Maybe it's because I come from a security kind of mindset, and I'm really curious, and I want to know how every little thing works. And the same way with watches and cars, just take everything apart and see how it works. But I want to know where this data that I have on this pane of glass, where is it coming from?
Right.
How is it compiled? And if you actually go and talk to the people, you realize it's an absolute mess.
Well, and the reality is like there's no sense in giving the proverbial baby a tool it can't use if the baby doesn't know how to do the simple task first, And not to call people babies here, but I mean, like,
you're just adding band-aids to band-aids. And one of the big things is, like, I call it like the issue tree. It's like if you have a trunk, and that's your business, and you got out of that there are some issues that just fact of life stuff that comes out, and you got to control those. But if you don't address them right, when you have those 5 or 6 big branches coming out of the trunk, they branch out into thousands and thousands of issues. These are all things you got to build controls around.
Right.
Even if you spent tens or hundreds of millions of pounds or dollars around, too many.
Right.
You cannot stay on top of it.
Right.
You will lose visibility. And the second you lose 100% visibility to your control, you can't vouch for it anymore.
There you go. Done.
You just had it's O2 here, the phone company. They went offline for a whole day. They had an outage because Ericsson had a security certificate that expired.
Mm-hmm.
So that's now your security tool on that branch offering that one control has its own issues that you need to stay on top of.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost track of that one. And that caused a day-long outage for the phone company, which cost them £100+ million in penalties. Keep it simple. Keep it visible. It just needs leadership. And leadership is something we're not used to in InfoSec. People got to get their hands in there, figure out what's actually going on, and build that up instead of just relying on what's already there and putting Band-Aid after Band-Aid.
Yeah, that's a great way to wrap it up, for sure. Guys, I think that concludes our episode for the week. As far as what Greg and I are sipping on as far as the Brews goes, we couldn't quite find the same beer since we're on opposite sides of the earth here. But Greg, what do you have on your side?
I am, this is brewed by Hogsback Brewery Co. It's a Queen Bee Honeyed English Ale.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Well, yeah. I have the most German-style beer I could get. I have Shiner. It's from Shiner, Texas. It's a Shiner S'more chocolate and marshmallow ale. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It's actually pretty
really
good. It's actually pretty good, surprisingly. Yeah, I mean, super different. But again, I mean, just because we're different doesn't mean we're having literally some of the same experiences and, enjoying similar beverages. So I think that wraps it up, guys. As far as where you can see both Greg and myself, obviously, Security and Brews, I'm doing this week to week. Greg and I are going to do this on a bi-weekly basis. There's a lot to talk about in more than just one video, so check that out. Greg releases articles very periodically, if not every week, definitely on a bi-weekly basis. So I actually have a link to his latest article in the post above, so check that out, give it a read. Let's get some conversation going, because with more conversation comes a lot more engagement. So guys, that's it from us. Have a great week. Looking forward to seeing you for Security and Brews Chat next week.